Be the first piece of meat.
Okay, Amen. Masechta Menochos, Daf Tzadi Gimel Amud Aleph. We're starting from 3 lines in the top. Hayodesh. Stated 2 dots. You'll see. Hayodesh Seinach. Seinach means melek the hand from the Behema. Hayodesh, Lamashal, the father set aside an animal and he passed away. He didn't. Nicht making the car. He wasn't making the carbon. So come to Yiddish, he has a car, he has a behemoth that his father designated for a carbon. So he's the Yiddish. He's allowed to do smicha. For the father. Usually a person cannot do smicha for somebody else's carbon. But a Yiddish could. He says a Yiddish could, that's the Mishnah. Father passed away.
So what does he have to bring a carbon for?
He's finishing the carbon that his father brought. He already designated as a carbon.
So the carbon is supposed to be for kapara. What's kind of kapara?
So, but nevertheless, you designated for kedusha, so the son continues to finish it. The Mishnah finishes off 2 more things. The son, if there was a carbon that was left over, either if the father left over money for nesachim, okay, the mincha with the yayin nesachim. So then he has to use that money to buy nesachim together with the behemoth. And if the father didn't leave over any money for it, he has to dish out his own cash for it. And then...
He has the father's cash.
Okay.
That's the Yerusha you got.
That's the Yerusha, yeah. Okay, it's like Pachosha that my Shver gave me nod and he says, if you want, I'll give you nod and have more kids to give you right away. Okay. Umeimar sagt the Mishnah, what's Meimar? Tmura. If a person wants to take a feta behema versus chayil, he already designated a behema, and now he wants to switch it for a more grubber behema. So we say he does it. Both remain kodesh, even though the Yiddish is not the bala carbon. We still say he has the din of tmura.
You better don't start up.
Don't start up. So you want to we learned. Rab Chananya Kamed Rava. Rab Chananya learned in the Braisa before Rava. Yoidesh Einay Semech. Yoidesh Einay Meima. We learned Fakert in the Braisa in the Mishnah. It says Yoidesh is not able to do smicha. Und unser Mishnah sagt yeah.
He's not involved.
And a Yoidesh hat nicht the dinim from Tzmura that if he designates a different animal as exchange,
can't do nothing.
That doesn't become, both don't become Kedesh. There's no din Tzmura because he's not the balabas of the carbon.
So what happens with the behemoths?
Yeah, Yirachi star. If you leave it till it gets a mum. What about a nan? What do you mean? No, the behemoth that he made the exchange for doesn't bechel. Father's behemoth is either he's makriv, the way it is, but the second behemoth didn't become kaddish at all. So you want about nan, but now Mishnah we learn fakir. Hayodesh seimach that the Yodesh does do smicha. Or maybe as nesachah. That was the second thing that. If he left over money for it, he has to buy it. If not, he puts it out from his own pocket. Umeima, and he has the din of tmura that if he designates an animal as exchange, that animal also becomes kaddish, even though he's just a yiddish. So you have a stira. Chananya said to Rava, should I reverse it? Say the Baraisa made a mistake, and we can learn the Baraisa like the Mishnah says. Should we do that? Amalei. Says Gemara Eloi, no, you don't have to reverse it. You could get a Malchus right there, or you get the Gemara. Says Gemara, no, you don't have to reverse it. Masnis and Mani. So our Mishnah says one shita that the Yodesh he could do smicha and there is Tmura, and the Braisa says not. So who's our Mishnah following it? Rabbi Yehuda follows Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya that we learned in the Braisa, Yodesh Seimach, Yodesh Meima. The Yodesh does the smicha. The Yodesh has a din of tmura that if he does an exchange, the animal becomes kaddish. Rabbi Yehuda Ima Yodesh. The Tanya that we learned in another Braisa, Yodesh Samich Yodesh Meima, and Rabbi Yehuda Ima. I'm sorry, Mani. Who's the Braisa? Masnis and Mani. Who's our Mishnah? Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya that we learned Yodesh Samich Yodesh Meima. Rabbi Yehuda Ima Yodesh Einay Samich Yodesh. Einay Meimar.
So this is over Rabbi Yehuda?
No, this is 1 second. In another Braisa we learned
again the same thing.
The same thing. So 1 minute. In the Baraisa, our Mishnah follows like who was learned.
Rabbi Huda, he said.
No, he said Masnisim Maisi means the Baraisa. Don't make the Mishnah. Who does the Baraisa fall like? The Mishnah we know. It's not Mishnah Rabbi Yehuda. But over here he says the Mishnah, or it's not Mishnah Rabbi, but he says the Tanakam of the Mishnah is one opinion. That Soimach and there's the Din Meima. The Masnisim Maini means this Baraisa. Even though Masnisim means Mishnah, here Masnisim means this Baraisa. Who doesn't follow Rabbi Yehuda? The Tanya. Right. The Tanya have we learned Yiddish, Samich Yiddish Meima, Rabbi Yehuda, Yiddish Einei, Samich Yiddish Einei. And in another Baraisa, we learned Yiddish Samich Yiddish Meima, and Rabbi Yehuda, Yiddish Einei, Samich Yiddish Meima. Okay, so you have two Baraisas. My time to Rabbi Yehuda. What's the reason of Rabbi Yehuda that a Yiddish is not Samich on the carbon of his father, and there's no din of Tmura? He learns it out from the word Kabani. This is yesterday we learned. Kabbanai is written 3 times, the extra words. So Kabbanai comes to the extra word of Kabbanai. The first one is Veloi Korban Me'aviv. Not on a carbon that he yashins from his father there's no smicha. He doesn't do smicha. The Yolav, how does he learn it out? He learns it out. Tchilas Hagdish. What do you mean the Tchilas of Hagdish? How do you make something Hagdish? That when you take an animal and you want to exchange this animal, that's the beginning. Before you do shchita, before you do smicha, the beginning is designating an animal. Okay. That's the inyan of Tmura. Tmura is doing an exchange. Tchilas Hagdish, the inyan of Tmura, which is the beginning of Hagdish, we learn out Misayv Hagdish from the end of Hagdish. What's towards the end? The smicha, which is right before the shchita. He leans the hands on the behema before the shchita. Masayv Hagdish. Just like the end of Hagdish, which is the smicha, the leaning the hands on the head of the animal. Yoida Sheina Semich, the Yoida doesn't do smicha, so he learns out from the end for the tchila of tchilas Hagdish, where when he first designates, if a Yoida designates a different animal for Hagdish, it's not as exchange for his father's original animal. He cannot do it. But according to the Chachamim, we hold that a Yodish does, our Mishnah goes like the Rabbana. That a Yodish could do smicha. A Yodish has the din of if he wants to make exchange, both animals become Kaddish, but he has the power to make it holy. So according to Rabbana, so who does he know that from? We just had a limud that Yodish cannot do smicha. So he says he learns it out from the Im Hamer Yamir, from the Hammer. Not your Hummer, Yomir. If he doesn't exchange the extra word, it should have said just Im Yomir. It's a different Hummer, yeah. Im Hammer Yomir, so leave out Hummer, you could have said Im Yomir. So from this that he says Hummer, for extra, Ladabas is a Yodish. It comes to include that a Yodish has the din of Smicha. The Yolav save Hagdish, Metchilas Hagdish.
Same thing.
Here's the reverse. He's going to learn the end of Hagdish, which is Smicha, where we know Smicha could be done by Yiddish from the extra word Hamer. He learns out from Tchilas Hagdish. Seif Hagdish, he learns out from Tchilas Hagdish. Smicha, we learn out from Tmura, Ma Tchilas Hagdish. Just like the beginning by Tmura, Yiddish Meimar. The Yiddish does do if he decides to designate an animal as exchange, it becomes Kadesh. Seif Hagdish. The end of Hagdish is when right before the Shechita is the Smicha. Yodish Semich, the Yodish does Smicha. So now we have a problem.
We're learning 2 different things, Meima and Yodish. First he says Meima we know from the beginning. And therefore in Seif we know about
Tamura, what do we learn out? Tamura, what do we know out?
Matchilas Hagdish is Yodish Meima.
Right.
After the Hagdish Yodish Semich. So we have
Semich
and Meima.
right.
2 different things, 2 different mindsets.
The whole time it was that. But it's on the same animal. There's the safe. There's a Indian and sanctifying of a behemoth. So there are stages.
So the
beginning stage.
So therefore he can be Saimach at the end.
Right. The beginning stage of making a behemoth hagdish is designating the animal for hagdish. He takes this chayil animal. He says, "I want it as exchange." So that's the beginning of the step. The first step. Towards the last step is being Saimach. So we can learn now one step of Hagdish. It's the same behemoth from the one from the other. They both agree. You can learn out a later step from an earlier step, or earlier step from a later step. You can learn it out from one another. Exactly. But what does he do now with the high karbanai? Because Rabbi Yehuda said we learn out from karbanai that a yodesh cannot do smicha, cannot do, and they cannot sanctify the behemoth. So there's actually, so the Rabbanim who say you could. What do they do? This word karbanai, what do they do? So karbanai will like coming over the chab. That only his own carbon he can do smicha. But if it's a guy that brought a carbon as an adava, the guy could bring it. Then the din is that a yid cannot do smicha for him. And karbanai will like come chavere. Let's say his friend brings a carbon. I cannot do for my friend smicha on his carbon, on his animal. It can be done. The karbanai and the third one, what is he coming to teach us? L'rabis kol balei carbon l'smicha. If there are 3 shutvim that own an animal, and so now they have to do smicha. Who does the smicha? Could one do it, or all 3 have to do it? So the karbanai comes to teach us, all of them have to be able to do it together.
But does it mean if they want to, they can do it?
No,
they have to?
if one does it, because you have to be the owner of the animal.
But
I'm not an owner and you're chelik. So when I'm doing it myself, no, you cannot be a shliach. That's what he was saying. The first karbanai said, "But like you cannot do it for your friend.
All 3 together.
It has to be all 3 together." Rabbi Yehuda, what is Rabbi Yehuda going to learn out? That Rabbi Yehuda says a yodesh, he learns out from karbanai. A yodesh doesn't do smicha, right? So what is it? How does he learn out this din? That not a karban of the goy, not a karban of his friend. He needs 3 karbanai. So Rabbi Yehuda, l'rabis kol balei karban l'smicha lesla. He says I disagree with that. One guy can do it for everybody. He's an owner also. Each one is an owner. In Shutvis, there's a machlekes. What does everybody have a kleinchike chelik in alt? Or Shutvis, yedein hotadritl. I have my third, you have your third, and he has his third. So according to Rabbi Yehuda says each person has a chelik in everybody. He's a balabos from the whole animal, so therefore you can do the smicha.
So he doesn't need
So he says I don't need karbanim for that because he's a regular balabos. I'm the whole animal. Or he says, "V'inami." I could say, "Yeah, I hold all 3 have to do it together." But he says, He says, "I don't need a pasuk that you're not allowed to do. An outsider cannot do smicha for a guy, and an outsider cannot do smicha for his friend. They're both for the same reason. They are not the balabas of the animal. So just like a person cannot do for his friend, a person cannot do for a guy. The same." So we learn now from one pasuk. We don't need 2 separate pasukim. So now you have an extra pasuk. So he says the chad karbanai v'loy karban aviv. One is to teach us only his carbon he can do smicha, but not on his father. Either is called balei karban l'smicha, and the other one that all the balabata have to do the smicha together. But Rabbi Yehuda didn't learn out anything for Hamer Yamir. So what does he do with the extra word Hamer? What does he do with the extra word Hamer? He came to include that if a Isha does the din of Tmura, she says, "I'm taking this animal as exchange for this animal," right?
Is his wife.
So then the Tmura, then there's a din of Kedusha.
It's her own animal that she was brought as a
It's her own animal. But she can't. He's come to tell us that the Tmura is Chal.
Why would you think not?
What?
Why not?
Oh, because the Isha, we'll soon see. Okay, the Tanya.
No,
but she's not. We'll get to it. The Tanya that we learned in the Braisa, Lafisha Kolayin Kulei, because the whole Pasha of Tmura ain't about El B'Lashayin Zacha. Is only talking about by Zacha. So I would have thought Dafka Zacha is in the din of Tmura, not a Isha. So Ma Seifenu Rabisa Isha. So how did you come out with the conclusion that a woman has a din of Tmura? Tamad Leno Hamer Yamer, from the extra word Hamer. Rabbanan Darshi. So what does Rabbanan know? That they already dashim to Hamer Yamer, that a Yodesh has a din of Tmura. So where do they know that a Ish also has a din of Tmura? Me ve'im. It says extra vav. Ve'im. What's the vav? So the vav comes to teach us l'rabis that a Ish has a din Tmura. With Rabbi Yehuda ve'im, the vav, what does he do with the vav? Well, loy darish. He's not darish.
Why do you do that?
The vav. Yeah. Zog the Mishnah. Ha'kel semchin. Everybody does smicha on the kabbanis. Chutz mechad sheit v'kat mesuma. Except for a deaf mute, or a shaita, or a cotton, or a blind person. Ve'eved kichav, and a goy. Ve'eved, ve'ashliach, and eved kanani. And a shliach.
You have to see what you're doing, Pasha.
Suma, yeah, he has to see. We're going to get to it. And a Eved and a Shliach, Eved Kanani. Here, Shliach is a Chidush here. Before we said, we learn out from Kabbanai, not Belayas Chaveda. He cannot do for his Chava. But there, his Chava never appointed him. Here, the Mishnah is Mechadish, that he's appointing him. Shluch Shaladin Kamaisei. So maybe the din should be that he could do smicha because of shluch shaladin kabeisei. He tells you not. Isha, a woman, doesn't have the din of smicha. Smicha shiyari mitzvah, and by the marshal, if it's smicha, he tells you is not the ik of the kapora. It's not me'akiv the kapora. So smicha is called shiyari mitzvah means. It's not the ikar part of the mitzvah. Meaning that's not ma'akiv. Because if it was a ikar the part of the mitzvah, then it would be ma'akiv.
Yeah.
But he says smicha is not ma'akiv. Okay, al haroish.
So then Yishu could do it.
No, he's just telling you smicha mean it's not an ikar mitzvah, and therefore, Isha doesn't have to do smicha, or the Eved, it'll still be a kapara because smicha is not an ikar of the mitzvah. And al haroish b'shtei yadayim, the smicha is done on the head, 2 hands.
What if he only has 1 hand?
It says by benching is a whole, by birchas kohanim, or when you bench your kids, you shouldn't do it with 2 hands because the halacha is because that's you mamish mimicking the kohanim, and you're not allowed to do it with 2 hands. So a lot of people do it with 1 hand, or they do it differently. They do sitting, they do a shinoi. Anyway,
you don't do the here before.
But 1 hand they do.
Because
it's mamish mimicking. It's mamish.
You're not like a coin.
You're not allowed to do it. Yeah, right. It's like the mother. In the same place where they do the smicha, they shach. They take him the smicha shchita, and immediately after the smicha is the shchita right away. Sagt die Gemara Bishleim, the Chadashek v'Katan, Labnei Dein. I understand the Chadashek v'Katan cannot do smicha. They're not a bardas. And by smicha you have to have kavan. Also is understood because it says Dabar b'nei Yisrael. B'nei Yisrael seimchim, ein eved kecham seimchim. It says only b'nei Yisrael do the smicha. A goy cannot. El asuma my time alone, but asuma, what's the reason not? Now let me just tell you that by smicha you have to have kavana, and there's no kavana. But by Eibes Nishkim Badas, you can't have Kavanah. The Kavanah is, you're saying Vidoy at that time. But Eibes Nishkim Badas, he's saying, I'm going to ride my bicycle while I'm doing Smicha. He has no day there. Or the Ashaita, the famous story, they say Ashaita, they went to the father and they said, the father was taking care of the baby. They said, look, the baby, you're not going to change the pamper. He says, it says on the pamper box, it's good to 10 pounds. So the baby, this even for a baby Zempfund. And your bein, as the direct can gain the Zitzel with Zempfund. Yeah, so you mother. Anyway.
Where did you hear that one?
Rav Chizda, Rav Yitzchak, by Rav Dimi, Rav Chizda, and Rav Yitzchak, by Rav Dimi, Sechad Ama, Asya, Smicha. We learn out Smicha with a Gzeira Shava. Where? Me, Zikne Eida. From the Zikne Eida, what's the Zikne Eida? By Par Helam Dava. What's Par Helam Dava? That if Bezdin Sanhedrin, you give him a wrong psak. In a einish that you chayv kares. They said a wrong psak on something, that if you commit your chayv kares and they didn't follow, then the Zikne Eida have to bring that carbon. They're responsible because they gave out the psak. And they do the smicha. And it says smicha.
But the guy doesn't get chorus.
No, the Sanhedrin does this the kapara. He brings the par helam dava. Good, and so he says it says smicha by both. It says smicha by side by oila and side here. Chadama ases smicha smicha. And one says we learn out smicha from Eilis Re'iyah, that just like the smicha is not by a summa, Asuma is potter for mitzvah. Yes, so to all smichas is not noyeg by a blind person. Asuma means a blind person. According to Mandi Amma, that says we learn out from Eilis Riyah. My time Allah Yallah ben Zikna Eida. Why doesn't he learn out from Pa Helam Davar Shel Tzibur? Okay, so Zakti because this Amira holds done in Yachid Yachid. We can only learn a carbon of a Yachid from a carbon of a Yachid. Eilis Riyah is when you come up to Eretz Yisrael. Why you have to bring the Eilah for seeing coming up to Eretz Yisrael. So that's done by a Yachid. And regular Eilah is also, and we're talking about a Kabin Yachid. But we ain't done Yachid Mitzibah, but we cannot learn how to Kabin Yachid from Par Helen Dava, which is a par for the Tzibur. So we rather learn how to Yachid from a Yachid than a Tzibur from a Tzibur. Laman de Yalav Zikna Eida. And according to the first opinion that learns out from Par Helam Dava, my time Allah Yallah ben Eilis Riyah, why doesn't he learn out from Eilis Riyah? Yachid mi Yachid. So he says this is a problem. Because if we're learning out from a Yachid from Eilis Riyah, we got a problem. We learn out smicha only where it says befeidish smicha. So by not from lafuki Eilis Riyah, we can learn out from Eilis Riyah. There it doesn't say smicha. By regular Eilah it says smicha. By Eilis Riyah it doesn't say smicha. The he go from Eilis Nedava Gamra. We learn out Eilis Riyah that there's a din of smicha from Eilis Nedava. Where do we see that? The Tana Kamid Rab Yitzchak Rababa. This was a brayso that was learned before Rab Yitzchak Rababa, and it says by Eilis Chayva that Aaron was makiv on the Shmini Lameluyim. So it says there by Yaakov es Eilah, by Yasser Kamishmat. That was Eilis Chayva. And it's, what does kamishmat mean? The Eilis kamishmat means like the Eilis Nedava, right? So Yaser kamishmat, kimishmat Eilis Nedava. The lima Eilis Chayva shetunis micha. From kamishmat we learn out, meaning from Eilis Riyah we learn out for that again. From Eilis, that Eilis here needs smicha. We learn out from Eilis Nedava. We could ask a kasha that lechera. It's Taisa says a question. If in Yolif he says Eilis Riyah, we learn out from Eilis Nedava. It's a dava halam behagdish and ein chayzim alamed b'gzeir shava. We learn by kachim. You cannot learn out from something which in itself is learned out from another thing. The lashon is as by a dava shall hektish the dava halamed behekish ein chayzim alamed b'gzeir shava. Right, we had it before. So how could he? So why do we have to? How can we learn it out from Eila, that from this Eila for all Eilas Chayva that you need to have smicha? It's a dava halamed behekish. You're learning out from Eilis Riyah, but Eilis Riyah itself, we're learning out from Eilis Nedava. So, so Taisa's answer, since it says Kamishvat, it's not a Hekesh, it's not a Gzeir Shava, it's as if it's written in the goof of the prosik, Kamishvat, we're telling you exactly like what, like Nedava, that it needs smicha, so it's not considered a Hekesh or a Gzeir Shava, it's like it's written in the prosik itself. It says 3 times Yoda in the Torah. Yodai v'lo yad abdai. That it says Yodai, but not the hand of his. The meaning the Eved cannot do the smicha for the master.
Only Yodai.
Only Yodai. The master himself has to do it. Yodai v'lo yad shlichei. Yodai, the owner himself can do it. He cannot appoint a shlich to do smicha. Yodai v'lo yad ishtay. Yodai, but the hand of his ish, the isha cannot do smicha. So all the Mishanim is lechera. A woman is a mitzvah seishas man grama. The covenant has to be done by day, nicht by nacht. A mitzvah seishas man grama. Women are potters. So what do I need the passing yodai to tell you lo yishtay?
But you can't. When does it say that the smicha has to be done dark in the day?
Sure, it's next to the shechita. The whole covenant has to be done by day. And a mitzvah seishas man grama. Women are potters. What do I need a passing for it? So the Mefarshim answer a mitzvah seishas man grama. is that women are potter, right? And is not shaykh when it comes to a mitzvah, which is not the ikr of the mitzvah. We said in the Mishnah, smicha is nishken ikr from the mitzvah. It's not me'akiv. It's a shiyara mitzvah. So that's why it's different. Says Gemara Kahani Lavali.
So then she could put it.
So she could.
Yeah.
You're right. And that's why I need a pasuk to say she can.
Yeah.
So you got Kahani Lavali. What do I need all these psukim for? Why can I learn out from one yodei? Not a Eved, not Shluchei, and not a Isha. Sicha. If the Torah would have only written by one miyut, I would have said Dafka Eved is not good. Why? He cannot be he cannot do the smicha. Laba mitzvah. He's not b'chli the mitzvahs like a yid, so he's not. Oh, shliach, a yid who's a shliach, or the mitzvah. He's shaykh to all the mitzvahs. Shluch shalom k'meisei. And we know it's a shluch shalom k'meisei, like it says by the coming Pesach. State v'shachatu oisei kol kal, al the ganze kal zol shechten. And we know that it's not shaykh. Not everybody shecht the same. A group of 10 people sat by animal. Not everybody did a shchita. It's one shchita. So what do we learn now from this? That it says everybody should shecht. That they could appoint one shliach for all of them, and it says if they all shecht. So I would have said shloshah and kavesa. I would have said he should be able to do smicha. And that's why he did the pasuk. No, even a shliach cannot do it. I'll say okay. The lat kegufidamya isha. Isha's a different ballgame. She's the second half. It's mamish the body of. It's like she's the balabas. Really, the boss is the woman. But I'm saying the boss.
Well, enough over here.
Over here, she's the second half. So I would have thought for sure she should do smicha. Avali state he can go for them. I would say she should do smicha. Tzicha. That's why I needed a pasuk. You have to tell us that Isha does not do smicha. It was like the Gemara smicha shiyara mitzvah. In the Mishnah we learn smicha is nicht the ikar from the mitzvah. It's just, it's not ma'akiv. Tanya learned v'samach. It says v'samach l'nitzah. It says that he should do smicha and then he'll be forgiven. What smicha mechaperes? He does smicha and he's mechuper. We know kapara can only be with blood. So never like it says in the pasuk. Yadam hu b'nefesh yichaper. The dam is mechaper. This is smicha. And the Gemara, why does it say v'samach v'nitzah? Ela loy melacha sheim asor l'smicha sheyari mitzvah ma'ila alav hakos keilu loy chiper aber v'chiper. It's just like you say in the Maimah. Ebedus leigen tefillin ma'ila ni aleichem kilo yegiya b'teira yom v'layla kilo. Here also he wanted. Why did it say v'samach v'nitzah? Taka the dam is mechaper, but he's telling you if you didn't do a smicha. It's as if you weren't mechupa, but the other you were mechupa. The Tanya
from the smicha?
No, from the dam. Even if you didn't do smicha, he's just telling you if you didn't do smicha, it's kilu you weren't mechupa, but you're really forgiven. And he says the same thing you see by Tnufa, the same exact Gemara. The Tanya and the Gabi Tnufa guy Gabi, we learned in the Gemara by Tnufa. It says l'aka kevzechus asham litnufa lechaper. In fact, Gemara chitnufa lechaperes. We learned this before. The raising the breast and the thigh, that's mechaper. Alei kapara el badam. Kapara is on badam. Shadam kedam hu b'nafsh yechaper. So tnufa is just like the smicha. And the Gemara leinalach she'im asa ela leinalach she'im asa l'tnufa sheyari mitzvah. Ma'ila alov hakoski lo yichiper. If you left out and you didn't do tnufa, it's going to be as if you weren't mechupa. Abba v'chipa, but the evidence you were mechupa
Because of the blood.
Because of the blood. Zag Yimara, we learned the Mishnah. Smicha is dafka on the head. Al harosh. Tanya habarim habarim. We learned yod al harosh v'lo yod al hatzabah. The hands have to do smichas on the head, not on the neck.
You said before it has to be two hands, and here you say only one hand.
No, both. Both
It
hands.
says yoda.
We'll get to it soon. Yod al harosh v'lo yod al gabayim. The hand on the head, and not you can't do smicha on the back. Yod al harosh v'lo yod al hachaza. You can do smicha on the head, but not on the breasts. So, what do I need all these limudim? One should tell us the dafka on the reish and finished. If the Torah would have written only one, to exclude the neck, I'll say, it's not in the same level as the head. It's lower. The cover they'll have the hadei. But if you look on the behemoth, the back is leveled with the head. So maybe you can do the smich on the back. Tzicha, I needed a pasuk to tell you no, back is no good. If I would have said both, meaning the back and the neck, I'll say, Shum the loy sabi nufa.
Why do you say Roisha? If you go up the time, it's the back.
Because Roisha means the whole level on the head, including the back. Listen, a behemoth the back, the panim v'achas, and the zolazah. Anyway, Mishum the loy is habi nufa. So, but I would say, those two don't have any chshivas. There's no tnufa done by them. Aval hachaza, the sablet nufa, the Tatum made the chaza shake very special that they raise it. And Malay, so I would have said it wasn't excluded from the smicha. Tzicha, that's why I needed a pasuk for all of them, even for the chaza shake. Let's say you put it on the temples, not on the head, on the temples. So of the animal. Ma, what's the deal?
Part of the head?
That's part of the head, l'chayra. Tashma, come in here, I'll answer you. Netanya, Abba, Birabber, Abelaz, Ben Yaakov, Ema, Yad al Reish, Veloy, Yad al Atzdadim. Dafka on top of the head, not on the sides of the head. Hoy Rabbi Yumi, a matlis mal.
What's the limit? Which words?
Al Reisha, it says. Reisha.
Al Reisha?
Yeah, Reisha. Hoy Rabbi Yumi is Tashayla, matlis. What's if he puts on gloves, and now he wants to do smicha, he doesn't want to get his hands dirty. So, okay, especially the woman, if she's doing the smicha, or no, but she doesn't do.
Yeah.
But what should be the din? Is it a chatzitza or not? Tashma, come down here. I'll answer you. It says Wavad by the carbon of Yom Kippur. It says Wavad shaloi yehi davar chatzitz beinoy lebein hazevach. Over there, it's we're talking. Yeah, by the parsha the Kohen Gadol Zmak b'Yom Kippurim. It says he cannot have any chatzitza between the hand and the head of the smicha. No, you gotta have no gloves. No gloves. Unhandshakis. Ubishtei yadayim.
The
health department, yeah. Ubishtei yadayim, the two hands. So how do we know two hands? It says, Amar Yishlakish, the Amakra. It says, no possible. The Samach Aaron is Shtei Yadav. It says, Yadav. It says, Yadav. You can read Yadai. You can take the Vav and make it a Chaylam. Yadai, it means one. So he says, Ksiv Yadai. It says both. Zebonav. It's come to teach you like in Masechta Seita, wherever it says one aid, the word aid, it means two. Till the that it's one. Here also, it says shtei and yodei. Zebonav. Shekom makshanema yodei kan shnayim. Wherever it says the word yodei means two. Till the Torah will say a detail one. Elazar went and he said this dasha. What time is it? Might have 8:10. Oh, so Elazar went and he said this sugya in the base Medrash. He didn't say the name of Reish Lakish. Shomer Reish Lakish ve'ikpad. Reish Lakish was upset. Sagst nicht mein Name. You have to say b'shem Neimer. It says Azay stark that when you say something b'shem Neimer, in the cave also they fill it. Oh, Shomer Reish Lakish. Reish Lakish heard that. He says, they quit. He was makbid, and he says, "You're really saying this on your own? I don't think you know. I'm the one that invented the drasha, so I know all the ins and outs." So I'm going to ask you a question. He asked Makasha. Wherever it says the word yodei, it means two. Yadav. Why does it say the word yadav? Actually, I asked him about Yadav. He asked him for 24 places where it says the word Yadav. The Chlad Reish Lakish, when he learned with Rabbi Yochanan, he would ask 24 kashas. So they said over here, Yadav Taka, there's not 24 psukim of Yadav. It's much less, 12 or 13. But they said 24 because that was the derech of Reish Lakish. When he learned with Rabbi Yochanan, he would ask 24 kashas. Others say he said 24 corresponding to 24,000 Talmidim that passed away. I'm not sure if that's the guy. So you want Yadav to be Yana, and it says Yadav Ravloi. It says by the Tnuf Sashlamim Yadav to be Yana, and by Birchas Moshe it says Yadav Ravloi, and by the Bracha of Ephraim and Menashe it says Sikal as Yadav. He switched Yadav. It says also. So it should have said Yadai. Why does it say with a Yud plural? If anyway Yadai means two, Ishtich. Rabbi Elazar didn't know what to do. Shlakish was after him. Labasa and the Nachdaite. Then Reish Lakish calmed down, and he says, "Amalei." He said to Rabbi Elazar, "You're a genius. My timer, loy tamer, le yadu this smicha kamri. Why didn't you answer me? Very simple. When it says Yadav, it's only pertaining to the case of Smicha. Not every Yadav means two Aiden, Yadav means two Aiden. By Smicha. So Rabbi Lezer says, I couldn't answer that because I had a problem. By Smicha Namiksiv, by Yismach es Yadav, Allah Yitzaveh. By Smicha it says also Yadav. So he says, so Rabbi Shlakish says, but Smicha the Beheva Kamri. You're talking about by Smicha, by every Smicha, by anything. Here it's talking about Smicha Behema. By Smicha Behema, there's no, it says Yodai. It says in Lashon Yachid. Yeah. There's a very similar story with Rabbi Yochanan. We learned in Yuma. He didn't, Rabbi Lezer again, didn't say the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan knocked with the event. So Rabbi Abavin came right away because Rabbi Yochanan, you remember, if he doesn't like somebody, he just he picks up his eyebrows and he looks at you. So you turn into a pile of bones. So Rabbi Abavin explained to him, listen, wait, stop, listen. But Yeshua Alpha said, did he say everything in the name of Moshe? But give us whatever Yeshua is saying, it's in the name of Moshe. Rabbi Lezer, the same thing. Whatever he was saying in your name, is your Talmud. So he calmed him down. Anyway, Makom Sheseimchin Shoichatim, they take all the Smicha Shchita. It says in the place where you do Smicha, you Shecht, and then right after the Smicha goes Shchita. Like, you my comment, what's this double Lashon? In the same place you do Smicha, you do Shchita. So, Gemara Chikama, the Makom Sheseimchin Shoichatim, in the place where you're Seimach, you Shecht. Why do you do the Smicha in the place of the Shchita? Because you're taking the Smicha Shchita, because immediately after the Smicha we do the Shchita.